Where were you 20 years ago tomorrow? It's hard to believe that it has been that long, but it's a question that we all know the answer to, because 9/11 is one of those moments, and we can remember 9/11 here in Hamilton on Lock Street with a new exhibit at Beckett Fine Arts, and happy to be joined by gallery owner Tom Beckett. Hi, Tom.
Nice to have you here.
Where were you?
I was at home, had just taken my eldest son to Montessori, and then I was at home ripping up a carpet, and we turned on the TV, and
Everything,
all hell broke loose.
Everything changed. Okay,
Yeah.
so what's the exhibit called, Tom?
It is called Healing Hearts, a tribute in drawings by John Coburn. We're commemorating the 20th anniversary.
And how do you know John?
I've known John my whole life. We've been working together professionally since 1980s. My father, Beckett Gallery in Hamilton, represented John, and then I took over the gallery, and so from many years of showing his work. And I had a show of New York paintings, 1998, in my Toronto gallery, and it's been a love of his for his whole life.
These are all works from John after the buildings came down. He traveled to New York City.
Correct. Yeah. He couldn't watch it on TV anymore. He had to get down there. It was his muse his whole life. And so he got down there, and John will tell you how he got there. But he ended up getting a pass, really, so he could be at the site, and met many people, firemen, firefighters, police, and
Victims' families.
And everyone involved in helping to clean up and in the aftermath.
Have these ever been shown before, publicly?
They have not, no. This is a suite, of a larger suite. 27 pieces were donated to the 9/11 Museum on the 15th anniversary, and these are 9 remaining pieces from that suite. And they've never been seen. We just had them framed up, and we're presenting them today.
You mentioned John, because we have John here with us today. Morning, John. How are you? Both Hamiltonians, both of you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to take a break. Before I do that, though, there is something special you're doing out front of the gallery tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah. Tomorrow we're having our own ceremony for anyone who wants to join us in Hamilton. The Mayor Fred Eisenberg, Hamilton Mayor, will be here to say a few words. John will be here.
Hamilton Fire, Hamilton Police, there will be a presence there.
Yes,
okay.
And we'll have a moment of silence with a chaplain.
And the exhibit is up until September the 18th.
Correct.
Okay, and these aren't, this is important too. This is an exhibit, these aren't for sale, right?
Exactly.
This is commemorating the end of the 20th anniversary.
Absolutely.
And we'll do that all morning long on Morning Live, and we'll be talking to the artist, John Coburn, when we come back to Healing Hearts at Beckett Fine Arts in Hamilton. Where were you when? And whereas we come up on the 20th anniversary tomorrow, that will come into focus. We're remembering through arts in Hamilton at the Beckett Fine Art Gallery on Lock Streets with Hamilton artist John Coburn.
Hello there.
Hi, John. How are you?
Tim, nice to have you here.
Nice to meet you. And congratulations on this exhibit. And we talked to Tom earlier about how you guys know each other. But your love of New York City on that day drew you back there. What is it about New York City that you love?
Well, I think that everybody has, I can't mention the word New York, and I can't even speak because the person is now very excited about telling me their favorite restaurant, their unusual experience, their place to go and drink a glass of wine in Central Park, or whatever it is. By the way, this tool here is what I did all these drawings with. This is a pen and ink nib, and the beauty of it is it gives you a thick and thin line. And all of these drawings that I did, by the way, these burns that you see in these drawings are only there because these drawings ended up in a studio fire of mine in 2005, and they're all burned around the edges. That's all natural.
I want to get back to that. Let's start on how did you get access? The buildings came down. You're watching this here
Yes, yes. Well,
in Canada.
after drawing New York for 25 years, I mean, the reason I draw is because of New York. The reason I paint is because of New York. So when this happened, I couldn't watch it anymore. I had to go down. I ended up going down about 10 blocks. It was all cordoned off, 10 blocks north of the ground zero. And a construction guy walked out, 5 guys, and as they walked out, I walked in, the door slammed behind me, and I thought that was unusual. I guess I'm meant to be here. It was a religious feeling, actually, to be honest with you. And I walked 10 blocks. I ended up drawing at ground zero in about half an hour after I got there.
How are you choosing what to draw?
Well, that's a real good question. One of the very first drawings I did is this one here. And while I was drawing this, an electrician walked up to me and shared with me that he had been installing new cables in the system with about 16 guys, and he lost 11 fellow workers that day. So he ended up giving me a little tour. This is actually just before that. I ran into a police officer, and he said, "I don't want to hear the story, John. I don't know why you're here. You've got to go." And this drawing here that I did in 1998, I showed the police officer.
With the towers.
With the trade towers. And I said, "I don't know why, but I needed to go on this little journey." He looked at the drawing and said, "You do what you need to do," and walked away.
And if he didn't do that, you would have none of these drawings.
I would have none of these drawings. And then what was very special was then, because people saw me drawing there, they invited me inside St. Paul's Chapel, which is a church that was a sanctuary. And that's when I met a chaplain that said maybe these little drawings could deal with the theme of healing.
Okay, that's a perfect end because we have 2 more segments. I want to get into some more of those stories. Some of your connection to the victims' families.
Yes.
Those are stories that we all want to hear too, and what they've shared with you. So, Healing Hearts 9/11 tribute art exhibit is up right now, running until September 18th. These are not for sale. These are for you to come and experience what John experienced through those tumultuous days in New York City 20 years ago. Welcome back to the Beckett Fine Art Gallery in Hamilton, where to honor the 20th anniversary of 9/11, they have an exhibit from Hamilton artist John Coburn of his drawings from the days following the towers coming down, those awful, awful days. And it's great to have John with us this morning. And you told a story last segment about the chapel, St. Paul's Chapel.
It was a really important spiritual entity at ground zero. It's right next door to where the trade towers fell. It's incredible that it wasn't damaged. But I was then invited inside St. Paul's Chapel where I drew. Cameras weren't allowed in there. And so I drew for several weeks in there. And what was I drawing? I was just drawing all the love and kindness that was pouring out around New York.
Is that how emotional was it in there?
It was silent, but the energy and palatable love that you could feel for the respect of every single human being that breathed in that building was phenomenal. And it was inside here that I met a chaplain who said, "You know, I see people relating to these drawings. Maybe they could deal with the theme of healing. Maybe they could be put into a book." And then he brought me down to this place called the Salvation Army tent, which is this where hundreds and hundreds of people would eat and recover and do first rites to body parts that were found.
Was it called the Taj Mahal?
Taj Mahal, it was nicknamed the Taj Mahal because it was so huge. But it was inside there that a chaplain introduced me to a woman, and I said if I could put these into a little book, her name was Rosemary Kane, I said, "Would you even want to receive it in the mail?" And she handed me this photograph and said, "If your little book can help 4 people remember my son George, I think it's worthwhile." And that one sentence is the only way that I'm standing here today talking about this, and it's the only way that this book ever was made.
This book went to who, John?
This book was designed in New York by Brian Chadwick. It went out, about 400 Canadians helped make it happen, and it went out to all the families that lost people, lost loved ones. And
These are just all the drawings that you did, the days, months.
Days, months. I went down to New York 8 times following September the 11th. And people would invite me to firehouses, they would invite me to families' homes. And it was just, you know, it ended up taking a journey unto itself. I just ended up following what
And
people
then
were
the 9
suggesting.
that are here in the exhibit
Yes.
at the Beckett Gallery are ones that have never been seen before.
They've never been exhibited before,
Right.
no. We have 27 of the other originals are in the 9/11 Museum.
Can we quickly end on, if you missed the last segments, the reason there are burn marks around it is your gallery burnt down.
Yes.
Okay. Your gallery burnt down here, and there's some pictures of that.
Right.
These pieces were not burnt. And
No.
what did the victim say to you, victim family say to you? Why do you think that these pieces
Well,
weren't?
when people see these in New York at other anniversaries, they think, oh, that was a conceptual thing. I got the blowtorch out. But no, I had a studio fire. That was my studio. The only thing saved by the fire department was this collection of drawings. And those are all natural burns and water stains. And as one woman said, a family member said, it was like these drawings are so soaked in emotion they couldn't burn. And, you know, the faith, the love, I was just at an anniversary exhibition in Connecticut last week, and believe me, you know, healing takes a long time. Some weeks are better than others, but the faith that we all have to have with ourselves each day is love and hope, and that's what we have.
Healing Hearts 9/11 Tribute Art Exhibit is on now at the Beckett Fine Art Gallery until September the 18th. Final visit with Healing Hearts 9/11 Tribute Art Exhibition at the Beckett Fine Art Gallery on Lock Street in Hamilton. Happened to be joined by Hamiltonian and artist John Coburn, who there were 9 drawings, original drawings that have never been seen before.
That's
that
correct.
you are sharing with you're sharing with the public here at the gallery. We started. We've tried to touch on stories about the drawings because you were on the ground there
Yes.
after the buildings came down. What's this drawing here, John?
All of these drawings are done on location in New York, and this particular one was at a firehouse in Chelsea on 18th Street, Engine 14. And that's like 40 blocks north of Ground Zero, but while I was at Ground Zero, people will say, oh, you must go and meet the fire chief of this firehouse. They lost 5 firefighters. So I would set up and draw, and they had a flag that said the day the whole world became New Yorkers. But the sensitivity and rawness of that was incredible. I mean, they'd appreciated what I was doing. They'd invite me in for ravioli, and they would share more words with me, the firefighters. But Maureen Bisnicki, who lost her as a Toronto woman who lost her husband Ken on 9/11, I gave that drawing to her 19 years ago when we were putting the Healing Hearts together, and she returned it just recently and lent it to me for this exhibition. Another woman named Cindy Barkway is another Toronto woman.
Did she
who
lend
lost
this to
her
you?
husband.
Is this her husband's here?
Yes,
This is Ken.
Cindy and Maureen share that drawing, and this is Ken, Maureen Bisnicki's husband's appreciation flag that was given to her on behalf of Ken. Ken was a great community man. Maureen is a woman who is advocating for September the 11th not to be a blank on the calendar. It's called the Day of Service. She wants people to wake up on the 11th, do something fantastic, go out, do something for a community, a neighbor, and make it a happy day.
I want to travel back to the front because these are all 9 original, but there's one that you just drew within the past few weeks.
Yes.
And what's this drawing, John?
Well, this drawing I started in New York City, but I wanted to do an anniversary commemoration piece, an ode to Ground Zero at this time. And So I filled this skyline with this texture of spiritual love and care, and it's my tribute drawing to.
Are you still connected to victims' families? Do you still hear from them?
Yes, I certainly am. And one of them is Rosemary Kane, who I just talked to a few days ago. And I'd like to actually read this. She said, "My son George, the firefighter, was a vibrant person and a happy one. He lived an honorable life. He died a hero, and I'm proud to have been his mother. I have a full heart, but there's always that empty chair at the table. Anniversaries are not easy. I live with this every day, and some days and weeks are better than others, but you don't get over it, you get used to it." So
Hearing that from her is pretty moving, because we all know where we were when those buildings came down, but we weren't the samely affected as Rosemary and so many of the other victims' families. And you can come and experience the exhibit that John has on display here at the Beckett Fine Art until September the 18th. None of these are for sale. You're not selling these.
No.
These are in tribute of those
Yes.
who we lost.
And
that
we're
fateful
also open to, these are also available to be donated to a Canadian museum or institution. It would be a great honor to have them stay in Canada.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you.